It's like, oh no, this is my career now, I'm in my 40s, what am I going to do? It's too late. And I just feel like it's never too late.
Welcome to Advice Accreditation Bureau, the comedy podcast that pokes fun at modern day life advice. My name is Andy Prokopis, and today I'm joined by the hilarious comedian and all-round baddie, Jake Howie. Jake, welcome. So how was your holiday?
It was really good.
Yeah?
It was really good.
Just Italy?
So I was in, if you want the full itinerary, I was in Italy, I was in Hamburg, I was in London, I went to Tallinn.
What the hell is that?
In Estonia. There's a Christmas market. It was fun.
Princess Diaries, Estonia?
Probably that kind of vibe. I think it's one of those, like, because I'm going to get this wrong, the Baltics.
Okay, sure.
The Baltics, which is like just next to Russia, below Finland.
Yep.
And it was very, very quaint, very fairy tale, like very like Princess Diaries-esque, but I don't know if it was actually Tallinn, but it was really beautiful.
We're going to get fact checked, but yeah.
I know, someone's going to be like, actually. Yeah.
Look, I'm happy with the engagement.
Yeah, so. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Like, yeah, please.
And so I've only been to Italy once, and I went to Rome, and I didn't love it.
Okay.
If I was to go back to Italy, where should I go?
Go back to Rome and learn to love it.
Oh, okay.
I love Rome,
yeah.
But I feel like Rome is one of those cities that can be misunderstood. Like, you really need to do your research.
Yeah, okay.
Of like places to go and stuff. And also, like, did you go in the summer?
No, I went like October.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
I love Rome, but if not, I would say Sardinia has got the best beaches in the world.
Okay.
I would say Turin is like everything you want from an Italian city.
Yeah.
But no tourists.
Okay.
And if you want to go to places like Venice, go just for Christmas when there's no one there.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Look at you dishing out the advice before we've even really started.
It was also quite succinct as well. I was like, boom, 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 I'm ready.
No,
yeah.
I knew, like, I came prepared. I wanted to ask you because I want to love Italy. But the thing about Italy is it's the opportunity cost of a European holiday. I want to go to a Spanish-speaking country. My boyfriend's French. So we always go to France and Spain. Yeah. And so Italy always loses out. But Italy and Portugal are... So it will happen.
Did you know? So as you know, my husband's Italian, so I go to Italy all the time, and I speak Portuguese and Italian. So for me, it's like Italy and Portugal. I'm very well versed in.
Excellent.
Whereas Spain and France, to me, are kind of. I would love to know them more, but they tend to be left to the side for that reason.
Sure. Yeah. So we could double date and never actually.
We need to go on a double date holiday and do all four.
Yeah. Perfect. So that is very, very good advice. But I want to know the good advice that you swear by.
Okay, this one I've kind of got to explain a bit more, but essentially it's every time in life you're making a decision that is challenging or you're feeling conflicted within yourself, always make the decision through the lens of the 16-year-old version of yourself.
Ooh, okay. Were you a good kid though?
It's not, I mean, this is the thing, and I think, like, when I talk about these sort of things, of course there's nuance to what I'm saying.
Sure.
Like, I'm not saying, like, spend all the money on, Playboy
weed.
or whatever the hell, weed or whatever. It's not so much that. It's more like, don't lose sight of who you actually were. Because for me at least, and I don't know, maybe this is a gay thing, I don't know, but certainly my teen years, I had so much sparkle and so many things I wanted to do that were kind of, not literally, luckily for me, but were kind of beaten out of me by culture.
Sure.
And I think to myself now, often adults in general make decisions based on what they should be doing.
Yep.
The decision I'll move here because that's pragmatic. And I think sometimes if you live a life that's only pragmatic, it ends up being fucking boring.
Yeah.
So if you have that lens of who you were at 16 and the kind of frivolousness of life and like, I just want to for example, one of mine was like, I want to move to LA and like go to a high school there and be a cheerleader. Like it sounds silly, but
sure.
like that is kind of fun.
I think queer people have an advantage here, whilst we've all suffered varying degrees of homophobia, bullying, shame. I think
ours is worse.
No. I think that because we've sacrificed or we've lost that sparkle that you speak of, like growing up, or at least our generations, it's wonderful to see that younger generations are able to embrace that in various parts of the world. But I think referring back to that, like do it for, like it's the RuPaul, what would you say to young Bobby in the picture? Yeah. And I think having that reference point for us is great and advantageous. I don't know whether straight people have that, or maybe they do. I'm not going to speak on behalf.
To an extent, I think you're right, because I feel like the thing with like queerness as a concept in general is that it's the only kind of minority group that doesn't have a home. We don't have a country, we don't have a city, we don't have a place where our kind of identity is normalized.
Yep.
And so I feel like there's this weird, and of course there's a lot of, you know, in terms of like intersectionality, there's a lot of race, there's a lot of shit that goes on with the queer community that, you know, is intense. But something that we do all share when we are being the best versions of ourselves is that we've all been kind of rejected from our home cultures.
Yep.
And so I think we lose our childhood in a way. And I think a lot of the time, like, you know, you often see like queer people in their 20s, they kind of party like they're 18.
Yep.
Because we didn't get the chance to party in the way that we wanted to.
Totally.
But I would say that even for straight people, like I feel like straight people are in crisis at the moment, to be honest with you. Like I watch on and to see what's happening. I'm just kind of like, wow, like I really think this is a good advice for straight people too, in terms of what did you dream of at 16?
Yep.
I don't think it was what this world is offering.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know.
And I think that's a really good reframe of what did you dream of as 16, because like, yeah, as a 16-year-old kid, I definitely, like, I went through a whole like code switching adventure of like, I was the little drama kid, I sang, I danced, I was camp as hell, and then I did gymnastics, and then I realized, oh, this isn't, and I started to kind of shape shift. But yeah, it's finding that sparkle. Like
the shape-shifting thing's a big thing, I think, particularly for queer men, because you kind of like, there's that notion of like, if that sparkly feminine bit of me, if I let that out too much, will anyone want to fuck me? Like, it's that thing of like, you think that, you know, and I think I'd say to that now, like now, I mean, that I'm 41 now, I'd be like, anyone who would be put off by that, you wouldn't want to fuck, personally. Like, I'm like, that's kind of, that's, you know, but I do think that there is something about, and I guess when I say the 16-year-old me as well, part of that I think is I'm so afraid, like I'm aging, I'm in my 40s. It's fucking scary because not only, you know, of mortality and just like, oh my God, my life, you know, but also you start to feel like things aren't as possible. And I think the reason I say that as well is because every time I make a decision, I want to also make it like I have the possibilities of a 16-year-old.
Yep.
Anything could happen. Yep. And I think that especially if you're like, you know, in comedy or podcasting or online stuff, or if you want to write your own TV series or whatever you want to do, it can feel sometimes like there's no space for voices that are older or voices that are midlife, or what would that kind of concept look like if it wasn't someone who's 22 with two famous parents and the industry behind, you know, like that kind of thing. I think I always think to myself, I never want to think that I can't do something. And if I think about 41-year-old Jake, I think I can't do anything because I'm like, it's done, whatever. Whereas if someone's like, would you like to do this show, this big comedy show? Yeah. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to pretend I'm 16. Yeah, because who knows what will happen.
Totally. Yeah.
Maybe something, you know, and I think that it kind of helps you kind of keep dreaming.
Has this come to you recently? Like, has
not
approaching,
really.
approaching 40, or like has this kind of approach to life going, anything is possible?
It kind of, do you know what, where I think where it started was that I was, I spent a semester abroad when I was at university, and before I worked in the south of France as a poor boy at like a B&B. And there was these two Kiwi ladies that owned it, and it was kind of a lot of Kiwis and Aussies coming through in the south of France, and I was the poor boy. And one of the owners of this B&B, which was called, I think, Absolutely Fabulous, it was called. They were two women that were like destined to have gay friends. You know what I mean? They were like really like, they were just so stylish, whatever, you know. And one of them was called Hester, and she is an incredible woman. And I remember I was probably 21 and she was in her 60s at the time. And I remember I said to her, I was like, oh, Hester, I'm 21 and I still don't know what I want to do with life. And she went, well, I'm 65 and I still don't know either. That's the beauty of it. And I think that was the moment where it was the first time I was ever like, oh, I'm always going to feel like a teenager who doesn't know what I want. And so rather than being afraid of that and feeling like I should know everything by now, I think her saying that made me kind of go, well, I'm never going to know what I want in life. So I have to start kind of dreaming and thinking, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? How do I want to do it, sort of thing? And I think I see a lot of my friends kind of stopping to believe that they can do stuff.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh no, this is my career now. I'm in my 40s. What am I going to do? It's too late. And I just feel like it's never too late. You're a little fan.
Yeah.
Cool,
yeah. And so when you first said that advice, I was like, oh, do I really want to be ripping nangs and like doing what?
Maybe.
Maybe. But like hearing you put it this way, and I've been warned about a Jake Howie reframe from our mutual friend Steph Broadbridge. And she was saying that you said to her about like something she's going through at the moment is the situation hasn't changed. You've just not putting up with it anymore.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with her and she shared that with me. And just hearing you like how you've explained that piece of advice, it's beautiful and absolutely, it needs to be accredited.
And I do think like these sorts of things, like obviously nuance, which is a dying art.
Sure.
In this fucking world, like it feels like nuance is something that a lot of people don't, or discernment maybe, is something a lot of people don't have. Because of course there's, I don't want to go back to the 16-year-old version of myself fully, but if with every decision you make, you put through the lens of 16-year-old you, I think it allows you to see what you'd hoped from life.
Yeah.
And therefore make a decision that is a little bit more in line with what is a beautiful life to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's really just about not losing your childlike self.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel really like it's the proudest thing that I possess, I think, is that I'm still very juvenile, not in maturity, but in spirit. So it's kind of like I still can have fun. I can still dream. I can still I'm excited over silly things that a lot of people who are in their 40s are probably like, that's ridiculous, whereas I'm like, it can still be exciting to, and I think it's because I always kind of frame everything through 16-year-old me.
Yeah. I think that word discernment is quite...
It's my word of the year.
Is it?
I'm like, the world needs discernment. Look it up.
And it is absolutely like, it's so very that. So my parents, they're divorced, and if you knew them, you would understand why. But mum's very, like, I call it the maths and the magic. Like I have the maths and the magic within me. Like I'm creative and I experience like joy and everything, that childlike wonder. But I'm also very, like, I can be very strategic. I love like a Excel spreadsheet and just kind of have that planning type A personality. And that's the best of both worlds that I get from my parents. And I find, similar to what you're saying, that if I get too deep in the weeds of execution and I need to be here, my life is missing that magic. And it's having that discernment of when I need what. And so accessing that 16-year-old or whatever age it was that had that wonder and that joy and that dreamer persona within yourself, I think that's just such a beautiful step one for anyone out there who's like a bit not feeling life at the moment, like not
stuck in a rut,
burnt out, doesn't have that daily joy, and needs that spark and sparkle.
And I do, and I love what you were saying about, which I think is something that a lot of people don't, I guess, teach their young enough, is that pragmatism becomes impractical after a while. And I think practicality is sometimes robs you of some really important things in life. And again, with discernment and with nuance, you can imagine that it's, paying your bills on time, being reliable, all that sort of stuff. Like, that's not where to be frivolous. But
sure,
I always struggle with a lot of people, and I think I've had this my whole life. I'm a creative person. I find the practical side of life harder than the kind of whimsical, which will come as a surprise to no one.
Yeah.
But I've always felt really kind of like a little bit raw about the fact that a lot of people that are really pragmatic, like, the thing you've got to do is you've got to be more on your, more da-da-da, more da-da, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. But why are we talking about people that are maybe a little bit whimsical and maybe dreamers being more like you? We're not talking about you guys being a little bit more hopeful for a better world, or, dreaming big, or being able to kind of give in to hedonism, to joy, to realize that practicality within this culture will just mean you're a slave to the system a lot of the time.
Totally.
And you have to release yourself sometimes from that through hedonism and joy. And again, like, you know, within reason, but like,
of course.
I just feel like sometimes it annoys me that is not kind of talked about enough. It's always just kind of like, you've got to be more practical. It's like, well, you've got to be more fun.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, like big green light from the Bureau. So
Perfect. I passed.
But that brings us on to some bad advice. So something out there that you've heard or been told, or that you think this is garbage, get fucked.
There are so many bad pieces of advice that I can't even begin, but I chose this one because it's my current obsession. And again, this one requires nuance and discernment as well. So when I say it, I feel like, and I do a lot of videos online about it too, and I'm quite facetious with it because it kind of riles people up. But I think the worst piece of advice to give people is to not gossip. Gossiping's bad. I'm like, it's not bad. And I feel like I should explain why. So for starters, this is my take on it, right? Humans sharing stories has been something since the beginning of time that has helped us evolve.
Sure.
Right? Often the people that don't want you gossiping are people in positions of power that don't want you to share your stories and find out how they've been bullying or abusing you in whatever way. I'm thinking of the workplace specifically.
Sure.
In the comedy world, this can also be copy pasted too. And I think the third and most important point to me is that I know that I'm a kind, compassionate person with high emotional intelligence, and I've got discernment. I know that all the people I surround myself with are kind people with compassion, that understand the nuance of life. So if they're coming to me going, you know, fuck this person because of X, Y, Z, they did this, they did this, they did this, and we're having a little bitch session about someone, I know that it has been filtered through a good person with high emotional intelligence, so they're venting to me about something that they experienced that they need to get off their chest. If gossip to you is malicious and mean and about the way someone looks and about how much money they have, you're really outing yourself as someone who surrounds yourself with bad people.
Yeah.
So to me, if you believe that you have good friends and that you're a good person, venting and sharing stories and quote unquote gossiping about things that you've experienced about someone at work, your husband, wife, partner, your parents, whatever it is just venting and sharing stories. And again, everyone that's like, I don't gossip, the haters are going to hate. It's like, you're always the one that we're gossiping about because you're a fucking piece of shit. And so I really think it's bad to make people feel guilty for wanting to vent about things that they're experiencing, because that's how I move through life, is I need my friends to sit down and listen to me pop off for an hour. Yeah. And then by the end of it, I'm like, actually, I probably could have said sorry about that. You know.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
So in the corporate situation, corporate world, I used to say I had a team member come to me, I would have an open door policy on venting, and I said I would prefer you to vent to me than bitch about, and there is the discernment between the two.
Absolutely.
And like when you're venting, it is a cathartic release. It's needed. It's just blowing some steam off, which is constructive. Even if not in the feedback itself, it's constructive in this sense of it helps someone get something off their chest. Bitching, completely different. And so I think having that understanding in corporate or in friendship groups, like I think calling a friend and just having a rant, that's like what friends are for. I don't necessarily consider that gossip.
I know, but I guess it's like, it's because there's a fine line, right?
Sure.
And like, I like gossip too, to be honest with you. And even though sometimes I'm like, this is probably a bit gossipy, but I'm also like, if you have relationships that are safe, that there's an understanding of who you are as a person and what your intent is, I don't think any of me and my best friends have ever gossiped about things like lifestyle choices that people are making, or anything about kind of objective, like you do you, I'll do me. It's always about abuses of power, bad, mean choices people have made that have affected me or my friend, or about someone kind of breaking trust or deceiving us in some way. And through that venting, there's a lot of kind of like, you know, mean language can be used. It's like, fuck that guy, like I can't believe he did that to me, and he was lucky to have me. You know, things like that can be said, but it's kind of like, I always find it interesting people that are really adamant that it's bad to kind of talk about other people. Yeah. And I'm like, we all do it. Yeah. It's part of like processing life and what's been done to you. I've had these sessions with people bitching about, let's say, a colleague, and then after maybe a couple of days of it have realized that I've been a big part of the problem. Yeah. through the like my friends going, oh God, and then why did he say that to you?
Yeah.
And me being like, well, I did probably send him a sassy email, you know, like, and it kind of also, and because my friends again are discerning and have high emotional intelligence, they'll be like, well, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, but still he's a dick. Yeah, he's a dick, but you probably shouldn't have done that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I actually think it's something that can be really good at like exposing yourself, or sometimes just being like, in most cases, and this is kind of my real intention of saying this, is that most of the people that have consistent gossip about them, and when I say gossip, I mean like bad behavior, and people going, why is, you know, this person such a whatever? It's often because they're actually moving around in the world in a really destructive way. And that's how we share stories and kind of build a picture of someone, not like guilt, you know, innocent till proven guilty, but it starts to kind of be like, hang on. It's kind of like when a celebrity's like, you know, when something about a celebrity comes out and it's like, for years, you're like, we've been hearing murmurings of this, and they said this, they did this, they supported this brand, they did a, you know, and you're kind of like, you start going, all of this meaningless gossip has actually painted a picture of a person. So when they come out and do something truly problematic, you're like, the signs were there.
Yeah.
And without that kind of sharing information and sharing stories, sometimes you can be blindsided by people.
And you mentioned before about there being a line, and I completely agree. Do you think the line is the topic / style of gossips, or do you think the line is with who you gossip with?
I think it's who you gossip with. I don't think there's a line of how you do it, because I think certainly for me, if someone has really hurt my feelings, like I'm thinking about, let's say, I've been cheated on a couple of times, like probably most people, in really, really, really destructive, hurtful ways. Part of that process of me healing from it was roasting the guy that did it to me, to my friends, and saying things that were truly mean about him in terms of like, you know, how he dressed or his job or whatever it may be. Things that I would never say about anyone normally. But it has helped me process that level of rejection and hurt. And, you know, and again, like I've had people break up with me and it's hurt me. I don't bitch about them because it's like, well, you didn't like me. It's more the times where it's like, if someone's really done you dirty, it's, I think, a bit delusional to pretend we don't talk about people in that way when they've hurt us. But certainly for me, with my best friend, it's been one of the kind of like parts of the grieving process of feeling that I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, he didn't want me. And so me roasting them and them kind of coming up with little jokes, you know, a lot of my friends probably like yours are comedians or could be comedians. It's quite healing. Whereas if I didn't have that, I can't promise that I wouldn't have written something to it, you know, like, or acted in a way that maybe I would not be able to stand by.
But I think because it happened to you, like it's your right to express and process but more so from a gossip. Hey, did you hear? Is that bad if you're telling someone who you trust? That has. Do you, like we all do it.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think it is bad.
I don't think it is
because
bad.
Again, I think and this is a topic that I'm thinking about a lot. So my thoughts might change on this. I don't know. But I keep on just thinking about my inner circle of people. They all of them, like if I was to say something really, like let's go back to like full on gossip. Like, did you hear so and so's getting divorced or whatever? You know. Anytime I would say that kind of gossip to one of my friends, there is a relationship based on like an emotional intelligence, a nuance that it would never be received in a way that was malicious.
Totally.
And also like, I would never be like, for example, I've never said to any of my friends, did you hear so-and-so's getting divorced, in any other way that like, oh, I saw that they're getting divorced. Wow, that sucks. I don't think that's the kind of thing that me and my friends gossip about. Because it's just like, okay, well, they weren't happy. Awesome. I think it's more like, when I think about the things I gossip about most, it's always down to really, really bad abusive behavior. That's, I think, what it is. And I think a lot of the time, particularly in a work setting, I've vented to my work bestie about maybe like, oh, I was just in a meeting with so-and-so and they were such an asshole to me. They spoke to me in a way that was so condescending. I felt stupid. My body like reacted. I don't know what was going on. I feel gaslit. So many of those times I've done that and I've chosen to kind of like, you know, go in and just like, you know, the people have gone, do you know what? So-and-so came to me yesterday and said they did it to them too. And then I've gone to that person. Oh, okay. So now we're actually exposing someone for being someone who's actually a bully. And so I think like, I truly believe that it's more about the relationships you build and the trust within those relationships that is the limit to me.
And I think that's the key for me, as in, let's just say you have 6 best friends. I'm sure you have plenty more, but
Way more. But I would say, honestly, it probably is 6 that I would do this kind of talking with. Yeah,
that there's just no, like, if you tell me something, I'm going to tell them. And that's sacred, and I trust that they won't then go and tell their 6 because they value our trust and our relationship.
And this also brings me to something else that I think is important to note here as well, is that I think anyone who hangs out in a big group of people, this is like, there's actually a study on this that I can't remember but that's not a real friendship group. A group of 20 people that party together is not real.
Sure.
It's, you can have fun together.
Yep.
But every single one of my best friends are not in the same group. They're just individual relationships I have.
Yeah.
That in certain cases they've often met each other, but they're not really friends. So it's like me saying to one of them, "Have you heard that so and so cheated on her partner?" They'd be like, "Oh, is it the girl from the?" Like, they don't really know each other.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of the time when it gets really toxic is in those groups of where there's like 20 people who party together, and they don't really love each other. It's not a friendship circle that's truly built in like mutual connection and a lifelong kind of promise to each other of like, this is ride or die.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the time people think of gossip, they think of those kind of toxic groups that are built on a societal norm, or like we're all mums, or we're all in a rugby team together, or we're all whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think also my perspective on it's very much like, no, I just have close friends. I'm not part of a big group.
Sure. Have I ever told you about the AirPod test?
No. Oh my God. But I love things like this. Tell me.
So this is something I'm going to take credit for, even though I'm pretty sure a friend may have told me about it. But
who cares? Fuck them. They'll never know. Yeah.
No, they're not watching this. It's a good test if they are. But AirPod test, that if you're walking down the street and you see your best friend in the world, you take your both AirPods out, they go in the case. If you're walking down the street and you see like a good acquaintance, like someone, you may take one out, or you may just turn the music off. If you see just a random person who you know and are polite with, the music's still playing, you smile hello. And it's the status of friendships on where people fall. That's true.
And that kind of corroborates my point of like, there's no way a group of people that would be considered a friendship group of, the mums or the rugby team, or like, the gays that party together, whatever, that all of them would be both AirPods out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible. And I would actually say, and this may be like, I don't know, neurodivergent comedian thing probably, but I will throw my AirPods in the water if you need to talk to me, so I never have to listen to them again because you have my attention.
Yeah.
Or wave with the music on.
Yeah.
I'm not really a one AirPod kind of person.
Okay.
I don't think that's not how I operate in terms of
you're all or nothing.
I truly am all or nothing, but that's kind of me in every element of my life.
Yeah.
I like, for example, if I'm into you,
yeah,
like I met my husband, I was like, this is forever.
Yeah.
I will die for you. Or on a first date, within the first 10 minutes, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how I've always been.
Yeah.
Is that too intense, do you think?
Look.
Are you like that too?
I think and to your point earlier about that childlike wonder, I think there's a part of me that has numbed that intensity.
Yeah.
Because I've had experiences where that hasn't been well received, and so I've changed myself. I think, like, I'm half Mexican. I have Latino passion and heat.
Bamboleo.
It has been so long since I've seen you do that.
I had to one time throughout this chat. Yeah.
Look, it doesn't have to be one time. You can keep going. But no, I definitely have an intensity, but I do oscillate between the shades of grey.
I think you saying that will make a lot of gay men feel really seen, because I think I'm probably similar in a way that I have always felt like a lot of people, this is so not unique to me, but I've always felt too much in terms of how I feel. And I think when I've met friends, it's felt the same. All of the people I'm talking about that I will have a bitch session with are people that when I met, it was like I was in love with them.
That kismet.
It's that like, can you please be my bestie for life? And they are. And I think when I was dating as well, I was often, and this is the funny thing, because I do think there's a cultural element to it as well, but some of the number one fan, some of the guys that I dated were from really warm cultures.
Yep.
But they were like you're too much.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, but if I feel it, I'm just so like this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think to numb that is a disservice to yourself, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely going to accredit this advice. I love it. Yeah.
You can feel that. You're such like when I first met you, you're a really tender person.
Oh, thank you.
And that's something that I think the more I see you, it feels like the more the tenderer you get. It sounds like you're pissing me. But, you know, like, and I feel like that is something that you work on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It absolutely is. Yeah. I'm proud, like, go to a psychologist.
Yeah.
It's
And you're just kind.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that is like part of it. Like, a lot of people aren't that kind.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I would bitch to you happily because I know that you're not someone who is a malicious person. So if I said something, and again, it's not my style, but if I said something, you'd be like, oh, Jake, that's a bit mean. Like, and you'd probably call me out on it. And I think I would trust your assessment of what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be like, fuck, well, you probably, if they were mean to me, you'd be like, fuck that guy. But like.
Yeah, well, let's have a session without the microphones.
Okay, cool,
but
to be confirmed.
Now is the time we go to a listener question.
I love this so much.
And someone seeking advice as I pull up my phone.
I think I give good advice, generally.
So, well, you've got to... Well, sorry, I should say the bad advice gets revoked. So I agree that people who say you shouldn't gossip, in the bin.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So Ben writes in.
Hi, Ben.
I'm going on a big overseas holiday later this year across the US, UK, and Europe.
Okay.
I already have tickets to see my number one, Kelly Clarkson, in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. But with everything happening in the US right now, I'm wondering if I should cancel that leg of the trip. Do I forfeit Kelly and spend more time in the UK and Europe instead?
Love Kelly Clarkson. Love her.
Same.
Since you've been gone. Like, so I totally understand that. But you got to cancel. And my take on this, my body acted, like it reacted in a visceral way, to be honest with you, because I'm like, Kelly Clarkson is young and talented with many concerts left in her future. You will see her again. And unfortunately, when you're fighting fascism, let's just be fucking real.
Yeah.
You got to sacrifice shit.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's to the point where, for me personally, I love the United States. I love traveling there. As a comedian, it is one of the birthplaces of comedy. I cannot wait to go and perform in some of my favorite cities in the world. I've got many American friends, but at this point in time, all of the people who I really respect in the United States are like, don't come. And I truly think in a world that is so desperately capitalist and all about the money, particularly in the States right now, the only way to really to protest from afar is to protest with your wallet. Yep. So probably a lot of people wouldn't agree. Yep. What do you think? That's my personal take. I'm not going to be going to America in support of Americans and to kind of like my own little micro protesting, I guess, against fascism. And that's a really interesting take on it, that one that I hadn't thought of, like protesting with your wallet. And of course it makes sense. I just from a safety perspective, and the places that we would go are blue states, and they're the ones that are being targeted. Yeah. And so I just go, do I want to put myself in those situations where it is so volatile? Yeah. You just don't know what is happening, and I feel for everyone over there, and in constant contact with friends and loved ones who are. But I was contemplating a trip over there. I don't think I will. Like, it's just not like, it's truly like, from my perspective, and I'm saying from this, I'm so afraid to say the truth. This is just the truth. It's like going to Germany in the 1930s. It is, what they are doing over there right now is just unconscionable. It is like the Gestapo, and we've all seen the videos that are being fed to us, in real time, which, to be honest with you, I think is one of the only ways we truly know what's happening there, because you can't trust anything coming out from the news or anything. Sure. And these people that are there on the street filming that for us, it truly is, even though the images are harrowing and horrendous, that is how we know what is truly happening there. Yeah. And I just think you want to look back, and I think in a weird way, it's always nice to look back in this time, which is so confusing for globally. It's a difficult moment globally. It's always good to think, for me at least, to look back and go, in 50 years' time, when they're teaching this moment in a history class, what do I want my not legacy, because no one's
sure.
gonna have it, but you know, like, what do I want to know that I was part of?
Yep.
And I think to myself, at this point, it's becoming increasingly clear that it's an authoritarian regime. It's fascist. Like, this is me even saying this. Like, I'm afraid to say it because it's so scary. Like, people, you know, and I think it's the equivalent of going to Germany before the Second World War popped off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that would have done that, it should be fine. What can you do?
Yeah.
You cannot go.
You cannot go.
And I think this notion of like, the news is so depressing. What can we really do? There's so much you can do.
Yeah.
I'm done with that kind of level of, no, you know. And so this wonderful person who's asking this question, funnily enough, by asking the question, we already know what his answer is.
Yeah.
He knows that it's not the time to be going.
Yeah.
And he's probably just kind of like going, right? Because it is confusing to decipher what's happening in the world just through TikTok. Which is how most of us are doing it.
Yeah. I think, just going back to your protest, I do like absolutely agree with this advice. Three in a row. But I do think it's important to support those people, anyone over there. Like, I protesting with your wallet, it does impact like the business owners, the performers, all of that. But I have... Like, I'm such a hopeful person, and there's a lot of hopeful people who I follow. Like Brian Derrick is one who I comes to mind. He's a fantastic follow online, and in the sense of he addresses, yes, things are shit right now, but this is what we can do about it, and give space to those voices who know like much more than I know what I'm talking about. Like he's very politically like active, because it's not, and I know you don't necessarily mean this. I was like, I'm not going to visit, like, I'm not going to worry. I can hear it in your voice and what you're saying. You are concerned for the world. You are concerned for the people. You are concerned for the state of affairs over there. Whilst we aren't supporting with our dollars, how else can we support, like, through even as simple as like playing the algorithm and liking something or sharing something and spreading that. It does. And help.
Also I do think as well, like, while what's happening over there is really horrendous, it's also that thing of like, I also think the best way to help is to start local, because we are a global world, and what happens in the United States, or anywhere for that matter, because the United States being centered constantly is also kind of frustrating. Because they are a superpower, but there's a lot of other stuff going on that is making the world really hard to live in for most people right now. And I think, you know, for example, like using Kelly Clarkson, who again is someone I love, but maybe the money you would have spent on that, go see a local independent artist. And I often think, and this is something I do, which helps me, you know, with the small amount of resource that I have, I always try and support independent artists, independent restaurants, independent bookstores, whatever it may be. And it seems so silly to say, but it's like, any dollar that we can take from someone who already has so much and disperse it to other people is a way of kind of protesting with your wallet. We know this as comedians, you know, it's like, rather than going to see unnamed big comedian who is worth $1 billion, you know, maybe go see a local comedian in a 50-seater. Because that money will be to a comedian who's independent, who's building their career, and it's just kind of sharing the resource a little bit. And I think America, in terms of money, doesn't really need money. It needs to be held accountable for what it's doing, because there's plenty of money in America to go around. It's just not going to the right people. In my opinion.
Support independent artists and not Miss Independent.
Miss Independent. Oh my God, I love that song. But it's in saying that, if you choose to go, I will understand as well, because when you see, you know, sometimes the only way to get through is to see your favorite artist. Seeing Kelly Clarkson, one of the greatest vocalists of our generation, would be beyond.
Chasing that sparkle.
Yes, and to be honest with you, I think Kelly Clarkson, if she ever saw this, I think she would actually agree to some extent. I think she would get the sentiment and go, I totally hear you. Because she is legit. And she's like, her story is like, she's from like a working class family, and she kind of rose to the top. And as someone who is like so anti-Nepo baby, I'm just like, can we stop watching rich kids tell stories about poor people? I'm so sick of it. Stories like hers, I think, are actually like, if you have to support someone, she is at least someone who is like not a part of the problem.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jake Howie.
He's like, what?
Yeah. Before we go, anything you want to plug?
Actually, yes, I've got a couple of things. Follow me on socials, always, TikTok, Instagram, at Jake Howie Comedy. Also, I've got a show coming up on February the 19th at the Factory Theatre, which is part of the Mardi Gras Festival, and I'm doing the Brisbane Comedy Festival in April and May. So come see me live.
Awesome. Jake Howie, thank you very much.
Thanks.